right? And my kids are at school and they're the ones I still, nobody said I'm stupid yet from my last video. So I think this might actually be on purpose, but can you see this like little plasticky thing? This comes out and there's like a black, and this is a stylus and I can't figure out if it's supposed to come out. Then it never works. Exactly, Andy. So I think this might be like a pressure sensor thing, like but anyway, I need my children. So I have questions. And now we're live on the other platforms. And we have some questions to do today for a few minutes. One of them that I got was on tags and categories. And especially if you have oodles of them. And then another question I got was on keywords and how many to have per post or page. And somebody asked, how do I manage everything to organize, prioritize, and keep the ideas flowing? What makes you think I'm organized or have ideas flowing? Oh my goodness, that's complimentary. So let's start with tags and categories. I have a analogy that I always use for this. In WordPress, tags are really helpful for the search box because searches are really difficult the search in WordPress is not very user-friendly. So, okay, before I get started, do leave a question in the message box or the comment box if you have a question. So tags and categories. Tags are really, really helpful for the search engines, and categories are really good for users to manage your site, to get to the areas and find the places that they want. So we use categories to section our website and to make clicking through to where you want to go a lot easier. So a great example is a recipe website. If we have all of our recipes, but let's say we also talk about fashion and we also talk about travel, so it's more like a lifestyle type of blog or website, what we would do is divide it into 3 categories. So we have your recipes, your lifestyle, and whatever I said, travel. And then within there, if you have a 10-year-old site, each of them would also have subcategories. But the recipe one is where it's a really great analogy. So if I'm looking for a recipe for, I have in the fridge cheese and broccoli. So I type cheese and broccoli. If that's not in the title, WordPress might not find it very easily. And so I always recommend to use ingredients in your recipe blogs for the tags. So ingredients for the tags. For sections, I recommend categories. And categories also go in your URL, your permalink, so they're great for SEO. Tags do not go in your permalink, like the address in the address bar. So categories have some advantage for SEO. They also make great landing pages because when you go to a category, I'm looking for all of the posts you have on travel, you can usually have a description that goes at the top for each category. And that's great for SEO because it shows up before any pictures do. And pictures tend to take up a lot of pixel room. And so you can get more keywords and more ideas. You can tell search engines what's really important on this page, and users can see what kinds of travel posts you have. Like, are these tutorials? Are these like photo magazines? Like what posts are on this page? So they have a great advantage for SEO. Now, if you're going to try and remove tags or categories, that's a different thing. Because categories are in the link, you don't want to just delete categories. You want to forward them to something. So if you were on Blogger at one time and you have hundreds of then categories, because they only have one taxonomy. And so when we move everything over to WordPress, we end up with usually hundreds of categories. So you do want to pare it down. I don't think you should divide up your website until you have at least 20, until you have at least 20 posts in that group. So if I'm starting a website and I have recipes, I want to have, they'll just be my recipes, my family recipes, whatever, until I have 20. And then say I have baking and cooking that are mostly there, plus a few other snacks and whatever. So then I would separate it to baking and cooking until they grew big enough that they would need to be separate. So what you do is take your posts from a holistic view, like look at them all, divide them into your big categories, and that's what you should keep. But if you're going to delete a category, make sure that you forward it. Because if I say saved a link to your bread recipes, and that was a category, or even because from Blogger, there's so many categories. So every category, like it could be sourdough, it could be broccoli, it could be like anything was a category. And if I had saved a link to it, say on my Pinterest board, and you delete it because you're moving all the recipes into a group that makes more sense, then my link will get broken and I won't be able to find it anymore. So removing categories, be careful. Removing tags aren't quite as difficult at all. Actually, I think you can add and remove tags as long as you haven't linked to a tag archive. You can still create a tag archive, like a landing page with a list of all of the blogs and articles that relate to that one. Okay, that's a really good question. Getty asks, where on the priority list is cleaning up these versus other strategies like better photos? Okay, quality of content. So let's talk about SEO maybe as a whole. I don't think there's that many other different questions, so we'll kind of focus on tags and categories. For SEO, the most important things are speed, security, and SSL certificate. Make sure that your pages are fast. Make sure that your navigation and everything is mobile friendly. That's the low-hanging fruit. Like without that, you're screwed. So always have big spacing on your navigation. I call it like man fingers. You know, like if you had big working fingers, you need the spaces on your mobile theme to be big enough for that person to touch and to get through. That is one of the most important things, is the mobile use of your site. And make sure, also one of the most important things for SEO is to make sure that there's no interstitials popping up. So you don't have, especially on mobile, things that are blocking the screen all over the place. Then what would be next? Quality content. For SEO, I'm not sure. Like, if you have a really loyal audience and they love you, then the quality content might not be as important because they'll consume it anyway. But the probably more important is getting return visitors. And so if your content is of a quality that puts people off, I would fix it. But if your quality, like photos and stuff, aren't that high because you don't like them because you have high standards, if it's not turning people away, that would be at the bottom of my list for things to do for SEO. Now, if you do well in SEO, Getty, I would focus on other things. I don't even know if I would focus on categories and tags. It's more the overall navigation. When people land at your site, you got to look at your analytics and find out where these people are coming from, what are the things they're looking for, and then make it super easy to get to them. And then create cornerstone content pages. That's one of the most important things I think that people miss, and it's one of the biggest things that you can do for SEO. And it's one of the best ways to get links. And links still really matter when it comes to SEO, like getting incoming links to your site. Because if you have a link coming in, if somebody, from a really authoritative site has linked to yours, then they obviously really like it and think that their readers would benefit from it. That is the link that you want. And the way to get those links is to ask for them. That's what a lot of the campaigns are that SEO people do right now, is they just plain old ask. There's different ways to make your ask useful, which is what a lot of SEO companies focus on. Competitor analysis would be a good thing, I think, for where you're at, Getty, because once you get to a certain level and you have people coming in, you have the stats, so you can look at your stats and go, this is what I need to increase, this is what I need to decrease, this is what people are loving. And getting email marketing for almost any size of blog, like whether you're just beginning, whether you have hundreds of thousands of people coming to your site, if you're wanting to monetize through selling a service or a product, then you have to get the email and you have to nurture that relationship. This is the most interesting thing I heard. It used to be that the person with the most authority could sell the most. Now, I've been listening to podcasts and stuff for inbound marketing, and it seems that right now, the people who sell the most are the people that are loved. So it's like really personal all of a sudden. People are really looking for businesses that have an environmental impact, have a social responsibility sort of impact, people that they trust. I think maybe there's a lot of distrust in our systems, in our governments, in the big things in life. I don't know. I don't actually know why. But I know that that's what's going on. So the more you put yourself out, the more you'll be able to monetize. Are there other questions about SEO? Did that answer your question, Getty? Should I do that versus other strategies? I don't know. Did I answer the question? SEO can be like a bit of a guessing game too, because everybody, no matter if they are 100% confident of their ideas, they are still just ideas, because SEO is like Google doesn't come out and say, this is what we want. I mean, they say that. They say this is what we want, but they don't give us all the factors that go into it because they don't want it to be gamed. We can't game the system. And everybody tries. And that's why I am very hesitant about the use of SEO firms, because I think you have to be on top of the tactics that they're using in order to make sure that you're getting a long-term gain and not just a short-term gain. Because in order for us to justify you spending money with me or with an SEO firm or anybody else, we want to show results right away. But showing results right away when it comes to SEO is almost a red flag. Like, you shouldn't see results right away if this is, unless there is one scenario in which you'll see results right away, and that's if your site is doing really, really poorly. Because if you're not doing very well, then a person can come on board and fix all the broken links, make it mobile friendly, add an SSL certificate, and all of a sudden you'll start ranking. But that's not because of the work that they did necessarily. It's because of the work you didn't do. Like, you know what I mean? It's like a little more strategic, using categories, more liberal. Past posts. As far as organizing, sorry, I'm getting a notification on my phone. Okay. As far as organizing posts, I think the most important thing is user navigation. Always meeting expectations and making all of the decisions that we do, especially for SEO, through the lens of, is this going to serve my audience? Is this really going to help them? Because the more they love you, the more that they'll visit, the more that you can serve them, the more the relationship builds, the more you monetize. And not that it's just about money, also the more that you can help, the more your message gets out. And I know you feel this way Getty, is that we can share that message and spread it. And if we do a good job and provide quality material, then people are more willing to send their friends to it. When I have a contractor that I really like do something on my house, I feel grateful and way more willing to pass that name on to other people, because it's hard to find contractors that you can trust and that are nice and that clean up after themselves and that do a good job and that show up on time. So if we just do like the things that we actually want people to do for us, the golden rule, I think our businesses will do a lot better. I don't think there's a system. I know there's not a system that will work for everybody. I know that you cannot buy a course that will teach you how to succeed online. And if you just do step ABC, you'll be golden. And I know that there are lots of course creators that are trying to sell you that. But I also know that it's not true. Like, not just from my own business since 2007, but all of my business experience before that and working for other businesses. It's just, I love this area of business. Like, I absolutely love it because it's a challenge. You get to serve people. You get to exercise leadership. You get to take risks. Sometimes they're scary. Sometimes they're growing, but it always pushes us to grow further. That's what I think. Don't get me on a soapbox, especially about courses and formulas, because I'm really protective of you guys. Like, I feel like sales and the psychology of sales is so good right now. This summer, I bought $1,000 course that I did not need. And for some reason, it was like a big name. $1,000 means it's got to be good, right? Like, that's a big investment. This is like university level class, right? If I would pay this much for university, why wouldn't I invest this in myself? And that's what all the psychology is like. Invest in yourself. Like, you deserve it. Well, okay, I might deserve all the best things in life, but that doesn't mean that the thing that you're offering is actually going to help me. Like, those don't, they don't match. Like, that's not like, yes, I deserve good things, but it might not be your product. Do you know what I mean? I find it, good for them for selling all of that, but going back to the basics, learning your marketing, serving your people, being passionate about your message. I think that's probably all I'm going to say, like, every week for the month of February, because I don't know what else to say. I can answer your questions on WordPress and marketing and helping you grow your site. That's what I want to do. So leave questions for next week if you can, and be specific, or I will just start talking about how courses don't work again and again and again. That's all. That's my 20 minutes. I made it without any, I was kind of dark screened for the first 2 minutes on Facebook, but that's pretty good, right? Okay, leave your questions in the comment boxes and we'll answer them next week. So thank you, and thanks for participating, and thank you for being here, Getty. And Julia, thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, take care, everybody. Bye.